A long time ago, in my village, a strange thing happened, originating from the reclaiming wasteland by the edge of the forest under the borders of the village chief to build an administrative office. The digging work went quite smoothly and without any problems. According to the plan, 1 week later the construction team must complete the work, so the work was in a very urgent situation. The voice of the supervisor urging and pressure from the village chief on the workers here made the atmosphere extremely tense. During construction, suddenly the group of workers accidentally saw a strange object lying deep in the ground. Looking from afar, it was no different from an antique chest. Seeing that, everyone discussed digging it up to see. But the more people dug, the more they suspected that it was a coffin. The construction team began to vigorously dig up the pile of dirt to see what strange buried things were underneath. After a while, workers unearthed a sizable wooden coffin that looked old, making everyone's faces pale with fear. After a while of digging, workers discovered not only one wooden coffin, but also 5 identical wooden coffins arranged against each other. By looking at it, everyone knew that these coffins were not normal, so they discussed calling the Feng Shui master to come check it out and give advice to the people in the village. After a while, the Feng Shui master also came. He was eccentric, but in return, he was a person with high spiritual ability, so everyone in the village respected him. This area had a lot of yin kui. It looked like something bad was about to happen, he said. As soon as he finished speaking, suddenly the ground shook slightly as if something had just escaped from there. While everyone was bewildered, the old Feng Shui master also approached them. Everyone in my village was worried, not knowing what the hell was going on, and kept asking the Feng Shui master. However, he just silently turned his glasses and looked ahead. Oh my gosh, this was a scary curse. He said that these 5 coffins were used to bury 5 people to protect the village's dragon veins, so digging it up would put the whole village in danger. The Feng Shui master immediately felt the seriousness of the incident and shouted, "Quickly, stop the construction immediately!" After thinking for a while, the Feng Shui master immediately told everyone to bring these 5 coffins back to their original position and bury them as they were at the beginning. Otherwise, every year, my village would have 5 people die. Everyone was worried, but they could not stop the construction. This was the order of the village head. While the workers were stirring and discussing, the village chief came and asked everyone what happened. The workers told everything to the village chief and then advised him to stop the construction work to put the 5 coffins back to their original positions. But he didn't seem to agree. He shouted loudly, telling the construction manager how stupid it was to listen to an older man's hoax. The village chief at that time thought that it was necessary to speed up the construction progress. Because they were frightened by the original words, everyone immediately went to persuade the village chief to bury the 5 coffins. But the village chief firmly disagreed because his superiors supervised this construction project, so it couldn't be delayed another day. Seeing that the village chief was angry, the workers immediately ignored the advice of the Feng Shui master and sent a cart to deliver 5 coffins. The Feng Shui master saw this and quickly stopped. He rushed over, preventing everyone from carrying the 5 coffins away. But not only was it unsuccessful, but it also made the atmosphere noisy and uncomfortable. So the construction manager immediately ordered the workers to take the Feng Shui master elsewhere. But no matter what, he still refused to go. The older man watched the car carrying the coffins and was extremely scared. The older man shouted in fear, his mouth constantly repeating the sentence, "Oh my God, this village would be in trouble! This village would be cursed!" What the Feng Shui master said was immediately considered crazy. No one cared about him anymore. The next day, a man who was also a worker in the construction took advantage of his leave to go to the pond to catch fish like every other day. He tried electric fishing at the friend's advice in the group to catch fish faster and more, but for unknown reasons or carelessness, his electric box was short-circuited, causing him to be electrocuted, and he died on the spot. His body was later found at the edge of the pond 3 days later. A few days later, another worker in the village on his way to work accidentally passed the bend where 5 coffins were buried. Although running at a rather slow speed, for some reason when he was cornering, his car lost direction, causing him to fall to the ground. The fall caused him to hit his head hard on a large rock on the side of the road, traumatic brain injury, and death on the spot. Since then, another person, who had also been a construction worker, whose family was not peaceful, often quarreled with his wife. On a night of arguing, the couple was bored. He left his home to the garden alone to calm down. After waiting for a long time, the wife did not see her husband in the room, so she had a feeling that something was not good and went out to see. Unexpectedly, when she had just arrived, the husband had hanged himself. He also didn't leave the last word or any suicide note. There were 3 funerals in my village in just 1 week, causing the whole village to be covered with mourning and death. People in the village began to be curious about the 3 deaths of the workers and suddenly remembered the words that the Feng Shui master said the day before. Everyone knew that it was the curse of the 5 coffins applying on the village, so they felt extremely insecure. The 3 victims were all construction workers in our team. I thought that curse caused it. Another person said that currently 3 people had died, so there would be 2 more. If not resolved soon, it was very likely that the same thing would happen. So they decided to go to the village chief together to ask to bury the other 5 coffins back to the old place. People gathered in front of the village chief's house, very crowded, shouting and banging on the door loudly. The village chief heard the commotion and came out from inside the house. His face was both annoyed and angry, not knowing who made a mess at his door. As soon as they saw the village chief, the people in the village booed, blamed the deaths of the 3 people in the village on his cause, and demanded that he pay for their lives. But the village chief felt that this was nonsense and myth. He kicked them out and threatened that he would not pay them if they rebelled. The people in the village at that time felt disgruntled, but couldn't do anything else. On the way back, they talked gloomily, discussed, and pulled over to the Feng Shui master's house to ask him how to solve the curse. Everyone thought nothing of it, immediately rushed to the Feng Shui master's house to ask for advice. After knowing the matter, the Feng Shui master immediately reproached. His face was extremely indifferent, as if he did not care. Some people even came in front of him asking him about the identity of the next person who would die. The old man immediately washed his hands in innocence, not caring about it. His attitude was extremely frightened. "You people, go home, please. I don't know anything. Don't bother me." So the villagers tried to convince him to give them advice, but it was no use. The older man shouted loudly, saying that it was difficult to stop the curse. It was too late. Many more people would die. The people in the village looked at each other helplessly. Could there be no other way? The atmosphere was quiet when the Feng Shui master suddenly said that there was still one solution, but there was a very high price to pay. "For the sake of the villagers, I would use this method. Everyone just needed to do what I say to break this curse," he said. A few days later, the 4th worker lost his life while doing drugs. The fifth person to die was a worker who drove to bring 5 coffins. The sad thing here was that one day later, the Feng Shui master also died while sleeping. The villagers held a funeral for him. Everyone sympathized with his sacrifice. It turned out that the method of breaking the curse of the Feng Shui master was to use his own life in exchange for others. 5 coffins would be buried under the execution area where the prisoners were executed to ensure the Yin Kui had the most. And the 6th coffin buried with and on top of those 5 coffins was the coffin of the Feng Shui master.